again, you're going to have questions as I sign these out, so just kind of hang on to those. But we're going to be working with thermal imaging. So this is the real deal. This is a FLIR camera. This is what firemen use to actually help save people. So again, this is not a phone app, so to speak. It's just attached to a phone for ease of use for a fireman to throw it onto his phone. The cool thing about this, you guys should be able to see me in there, right? Red, orange, and yellow guy. So sorry, fellas, but I'm the hottest thing inside the video right now. Yeah, jokes. There they are. So I got a little bit of laughter. Good. So the cool thing about this is we're looking for blue and black spots to start moving on their own. Those are going to be the coldest areas in the frame. So they're going to take shape or start moving. The cool thing about this is there's a blue dot bouncing around the screen. What it's doing is it's finding the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. So it's kind of helping to guide your eye on where the coldest spot is actually going to be. So you're going to have...
Yeah, it's right in your heart.
Of course it is. That was cold, man. So I know that was actually funny. I think somebody else made that joke before too. Is it literally right on my heart?
No, it really is.
Funny. It hasn't moved at all. It's not even thumping like with a heartbeat.
It's that one, not that one.
Yeah, there's a blue dot, not the.
Temperature read.
It'll go back to it. So we're going to do a few starts and stops with this because as great as the hardware is, the software sucks. So if we record for too long, Jared, I'm going to obviously tell you, stop recording. I do have it recording right now just because I want everybody to know how to watch the video, so that way it's right at the beginning. So you're going to hold this right-handed, horizontal all night long with the camera on your left. That's where the wire is. And then obviously the red square is the start and stop. I'll give you the cue for that. So that one goes to you, sir. When I have a larger group, I take the smaller groups and I make sure like they have specific devices, just because they're not always needed to coincide with another one. And you'll kind of see that as we're going through. So with this one specifically. So if I give this one, because it's going to coincide with another device, and how that's actually going to work, you're going to see why I wouldn't give just this, because I need two people to operate it. It's still perfect. So, there. So, little kind of GoPro, you should not be able to see me in a little black screen. Yes, I know, very exciting black screen, but let's turn on some lights. We're now working with infrared lighting. This is light you cannot see with your own eyes. Obviously the camera can. Your entire screen should be purple and you should be able to see every detail in 4K. The whole thing is obviously you can't see the lights emitting from it. So the hope here is that we're going to be able to capture something we would not normally be able to capture with our own eyes. That's the whole point of this. But again, this gets an accompanying item, but I am going to start the recording on this one now just to make sure it's not going to give us an error mode a few minutes in, because if it does, we can fix it right away and we don't lose any ridiculous footage. So with that being said, this one's going to go to you. Look at you. Oh, super stoked up now, aren't you? So that particular camera loves to pick up orbs, and it will also pick up motion. But how is it going to pick up motion? This is the neuralizer from Men in Black. None of you are going to remember anything. But yeah. But we're recording everything. It's fine.
One of my favorite
Lasers. So the whole point of lasers is these things will show up like a Christmas tree inside the device, the camera that I just gave Janice, right?
Yes.
Oh, look at me getting names right. So with that said, we're looking for things to actually pass through the lasers. Again, this isn't always the most exciting job because it doesn't always happen in like where we're going to see it in real time. It's all about the video review. So with that said, we're going to be using two different styles of lasers. This one has red squares. In the event we capture something here, I'm going to give you the screenshot and try to put it in 3D software and then give you a full 3D view of what we caught along with measurements of what's actually there. So I've had this guy for about a year now, and the software hasn't been able to take what we've actually caught so far because they were slightly blurry. So again, hopefully tonight is our night. The slower we move with these lasers, obviously the better this is going to be. So Garrett back there, aha, look at me getting names right. 2 in a row. So when you're using these, you're going to keep the edge of the lasers on your toes. So that way they stay on the ground and you have them in control. So you don't want to go any further out than this, only because there is a laser law in Charleston and we really don't want to get Nick arrested tonight. So I will tell you that lasers definitely stay in the hands of adults. So if you guys swap things around, these two have to stay with an adult. So you get both of them.
That's an Italian joke, I think.
Yeah, the pen you have to actually hold the button on, and then the red one has a toggle switch, like a light switch. So just make sure you're pointing it down when you turn that toggle switch. Otherwise, you're going to blind cars. There you go. He's got it.
Christmas. No presents for you, smart ass.
Alright, spirit boxes. We're going to be using several different styles of spirit boxes. Spirit boxes are a way for us to communicate with the dead. If you're a fan of the TV shows, this would be the white noise. So, yeah. We're going to be doing this in real time, only with a different method. None of you are trained to listen to white noise for 2 hours at a time. Somebody's going to fall asleep with all of the history I'm going to give you, plus all the history. So, I have this guy slowed down on purpose. I want the radio chatter to come through. If we can hear the song lyrics, the DJs, the commercials, it's a 50-50 shot. We can actually tie it to the location of where we are, a certain person in history we're discussing, or even something going on with one of us. That happens all the time too. So the cool thing is about this specific spirit box, now the person using it is going to have a set of earbuds. They're going to be the only person to hear it in real time. So I'm going to be writing down everything that they tell me that they hear in real time, and then the recording, I'm going to spot check it tomorrow to give you 15 to 25 more markers to kind of match up to see what's actually going on with this guy. So I don't know how it records, but again, we can't mess up the volume on this one. So Maya, was it? Ava.
That's
Sorry.
Maya. You were close.
Ah, I was close. All right, so Ava, this one's going to go to you. So you're going to have to undo the twist back to the earbud. You get to keep those. I don't want them back. Earwax is gross. And then your volume button is right here. It's the wheel at the top. So I'm going to make sure it's all the way down so that way when you put your earbud in, it doesn't flash you out. I actually have 2 of those. So the second one, Sherry? Shelly. So yours is not going to record.
Okay.
So I'm going to be relying on you in real time to be writing down, obviously, whatever you hear. I won't be able to spot check it. So the cool thing is because those of you that are using these, you can share the other earbud with another person.
Gotcha.
So again, that way it's kind of twofold. So again, the earbuds are yours, so I don't want them back. Your volume button is right here, turning it all the way down. It is the wheel at the top, not the button. Let's see. The next spirit box is going to give us words from time to time in the center of the screen. So, now this one is replacing what you would normally see as an ovulus on the TV shows. Why am I replacing something you would normally see on TV? The one you see on TV only has 2,000 terms and phrases in it. This has 36,000 terms and phrases in it. Wow. So, here's what I'm going to tell you. This is a phone app. 80% of this is going to be garbage. So, I'm going to give you the full list tomorrow morning in your data set, but only 5 to 20% of it's going to be actually relevant to our location, person, one of us. So the cool thing is that it saves everything to a list with timestamps. Kind of helps me when I need to watch video or I need to listen to a spirit box recording to see if things are going to tie up and match up a little bit. I'm going to clear this history out to start you guys off fresh. And now the name Molly will not be involved with this. I totally lost your name. I'm just going to put it out there. Ella.
Yeah.
That one goes to you. I don't want to see every word that pops up. I will come to you when I want to see the word list. You hit the little white box next to the word to be able to see the list, and you'll be able to scroll through it. So again, I'll come to you. Otherwise, we're going to be out here till like 4 in the morning because it will spit off hundreds of terms. Wow. Let's see. I know I have lots of spirit boxes, but if you notice, they all do something a little bit different than the next one. So this one in particular is going to sweep through the FM and AM radio stations simultaneously. It's going to attempt to take out the white noise that is coming through on the red spirit boxes that I handed out. So that way only words will come through this particular spirit box. So this one is only going to give us about 10 to 12 terms through the entire 2-hour time frame. However, this is about 75% accurate and captures more disembodied voices than it does radio chatter. So love this spirit box. Quentin, was it?
Yep.
Yeah, you seem pretty stoked about this. I seen the eyes light up in the dark. So the only thing you need to worry about this guy is how to hold it. The lights are at the top, the blinking lights. So on the right-hand side is a mute button. I have it muted right now, just so I can kind of get through the rest of this, and I'll let you know when it's safe to unmute and actually start using it. There's no earbuds to go with that one. Let's see. All right, you guys have all seen these on TV before, right? So these are pretty standard.
Oh,
yeah. Kind of have to have one of these out here, but I use them to debunk things. I want to see what's going on with the parking meters, buildings, wiring, anything else that we're going to encounter, which is probably going to be plenty. because this is such an easy job, the person using this is going to be two-handed. So that first one goes to you. All you need to let me do with that guy is let me know what colors show up. The second thing you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking hundreds and hundreds of pictures for us. So the cool thing is, she's like, yeah, that's cool, that's a nice easy job, but she's got 2 jobs. The cool thing about the camera is that it doesn't have a flash on it. I turned it off. So you have to be very still when you're taking pictures. We want lots of pictures of the lasers and any other weird touristy stuff you want to take pictures of. Any selfies get deleted, just so you know. So kind of keep that in mind. Your shoot button is the big button on the right-hand side. If it turns off where you can't see anything on the screen, the power button's right next to it. But it's an electronic. I'm sure you'll get the gist of that very, very quickly. As far as the K2 EMF meter that I just handed out,
You need to take a picture.
hopefully that'll show up for you. The next device also has an EMF detector in it. However, this one is way more accurate. So this one is going to be digital. So anything above 2.5, Jeremiah, was it?
Yep.
Ah, look at me, I'm getting there. I got most of you down. So with that said, 2.5 and higher is what I want to know what's going on with your big numbers. The bottom numbers are ambient temperature from the yellow probe at the top. Jared finds something on his camera, you and I can prove it or debunk it based on where the actual cold spot is. It's just there for at the ready. The last thing that it has is it has a REM pod or motion sensor built into it. In the event something gets close to the antenna, it's going to go off. I'm not touching it right now. I'm touching it now. So again, we're going to talk more about that at one of our next locations because we don't always use that. It's all about the digital reading for now. Emily,
Yes.
you get the hardest spirit box. It's the oldest style, has
Okay.
no earbuds, and it's open air.
Okay.
I had to attach a ball speaker to it so that way we can actually hear it outside. So again, it's sweeping through all of the FM radio stations. There's volume is on the side of the ball speaker. Hold this little button up to get the volume. You gotta give it a minute, and then obviously hold it down to turn it down. I'm gonna turn it down for now and let you know when it's gonna be safe to turn that guy.
Okay.
Thank you. Lots and lots of spirit boxes. Made the bag much later. Thank you all for that. All right, so are you still recording? Is that good? Or did it freeze up?
Yeah.
Looks like it froze up.
Can I run her into the restroom?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this a doing its own thing?
Yep. And we're going to talk more about that at the next location.
Yeah.
All right, so while they're in the restroom, I'll tell you why this place is haunted. Do we want to wait for them?
No, you can go.
It's up to you. I'll
We're
wait.
recording.
Very, very true. So, Big John's, there's a reason why we start here. Of course, the place is haunted. So, here's what goes on here. This place was named after a football player. His name was Big John Kennedy. Imagine that. He named it after himself. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. I'm always going to slow down on specific keywords for all of the spirit boxes because I talk fast and these are the answers that I would normally get. Obviously, in this location, spirit boxes, the terms 47, New York, Giants, and anything relatable to a bar would be relevant in this space. With that said, John used to sit in the back of the bar and tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys came in, they weren't old enough to drink. So John has the bartender throw them out, and they leave pretty angry. They come back the next night, and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on, he slams down his beer, he gets up and starts beating the hell out of these guys, just pounding them right into the floor. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets grazed in the neck, but the bullet lands behind him in the wall. John's been the only one that's been shot, by the way, and he gets up, he goes back to the bar and tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor, and ambulance. Now, normally if I tell you a building is haunted, you normally think of some tragic death or some serial killer that went nuts in there. What's haunting this place is the bullet hole. It's allegedly still here. Even if the renovation of Big John's filled it in, Big John's blood is still in this building. I'm sure they did not get out every single drop. People that sit in the front of this bar, while they're eating here, tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. This is kind of the heated warning. So if anybody feels any of those kind of symptoms throughout the entire evening, I need to know immediately so we can move the whole group to safety. I don't know how paranormal activity is going to affect anyone. Fingers crossed we're going to be dealing with paranormal activity tonight. So again, things have occurred on my tours in the past, which is the reason why I bring this up. So now that you all are looking at me like, what the hell did we sign up for? Let's talk about the other reason why this place is allegedly haunted. We had a big earthquake here in 1886. Have you guys been taking other Charleston tours around town? Nothing at all?
No, not yet.
All right, so now you know we had a big earthquake here in 1886. I asked that because every tour of some type talks about that earthquake. We're supposed to have hurricanes, not earthquakes. This building is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. The white mantle in the middle of the building it also wraps around the front. So a piece of it broke off, hit somebody in the back of the head, and killed them. And they say you could see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. I said apparently and allegedly a lot with that because I don't have any proof. It's just a great segue so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour, even though I just brought it up again. So, yes, again, it's one of those kind of rumor mill kind of mentalities. So now we have to wait for them because now we're going to have to go to the next spot. So we'll wait for them to come out. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording on this guy. Go ahead and just hit tap on yours. That would be the orange square. It'll turn into a circle. Right on there. Yep. So, when we're walking on like sidewalks and major streets, those EMF meters will go off between, as far as the colors go, you're going to probably go all the way up to a yellow. And then as far as the digital reading, probably up to a 3 to a 5. So again, if we're on a major street, I'll normally discount it right away that it's a parking meter or an electrical pole somewhere nearby. Just so you guys know, I'm not Zach Bagans, I'm not going to make stuff up. So, see, some of you got that. Nice. So welcome to your first space. I told you, you're going to go to some weird spaces. Welcome to a parking lot. Congratulations, you made it. So, what is this space? This used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney mansion. The mansion actually sat in the front of this space right here, this parking lot. Eliza's garden was lined up with the Tempest restaurant over there and came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So, yeah, pretty weird layout, but again, this is a very active space, which is why I love to bring you guys like right off the top after introducing the devices. Spirit boxes, I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the big red barn. You're going to get the answers from your spirit boxes, so everybody has a genuine experience, and I will withhold information on purpose, just so you know. But again, remember, if it's relevant, you'll be able to verify it tomorrow morning when I give you all of your links to be able to verify everything. So, what is this place? Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses. Now you guys see why I look for those secondary verifiers. Nice. So, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a pretty big deal for us, but I hate politics more than everybody here. So we're going to move on. If I don't bring it up, somebody else will. We're going to be talking about Eliza workers. Remember that. I'll write it down once we start really getting on. Continue listening in. She's getting the gist of how she got it. She's getting it. What does it say? Leave. Does it say leave?
Yeah, it definitely says.
That's normally my cue where I stop and leave. I will be honest, but I still want to give you at least the history of this location. We'll see if anything else comes up.
It just got real low.
Very interesting. Yeah, you don't need to pay attention to like the bars and all that mess. It's all part of the scare you type aesthetic of it. Really just after the dictionary.
Okay.
Wow, leave already. Interesting. It's normally a happy place. We're just going to put it out there.
What happened if a park here? Like,
What's that?
What happened if a park here? Do you think that happened?
So leave and get out.
Like I said, this is normally a good spot. We're not dealing with any dark entities of the crap you guys see on TV, just so you guys know. Most of that stuff is made up for TV. Where was I? Eliza and Charles, right? Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. If you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, you're not going to hear numbers like 12 and 14. Okay, just got to keep that in mind. The reason I bring this up is because Charles was over double her age when they married. It's a pretty big age gap back in colonial times, pretty big age gap now. So, with that being said, she married Charles because her father over in England thought he was dying. He's trying to get all of his kids home so he can see his children one last time before he dies, and Eliza doesn't believe that he's dying just yet. Instead, she gets married. It's 1744. You don't get married for a green card because we're not even a country yet. However, she was right. Dad did not die right away, and instead he starts sending her gifts to this space. You guys have been in town for at least an hour. You've seen the word indigo somewhere. I guarantee it. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes her blue jeans blue. Some of you are wearing it tonight. She didn't know what to do with these seeds when she got them. She learned from her slaves and servants on how to keep it cultivated on our weird temperatures because it's not always hot here. Once she figured it out, moves it to another plantation, calls her dad and says, rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with this indigo. Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. So that's her business. Let's get into the weird stuff because that's why you guys are all here. So first and foremost, Ella, I'm going to have your device. I want you focused on a certain series of questions. I'm going to assign questions before we spread apart. So your questions are going to be, there's 2 different wives named Eliza. There's a first wife, Eliza, who died in January of 1744, and the one I just spoke about, he married in May of 1744, 5 months apart. So yes, a gentleman that's either really smart or really stupid to marry two women with the same name. I don't want to know how you guys look at it, but just saying. Both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. Try to find out what their name was before they got married to Charles Dickens. Okay. Let's see, the next spirit box. I gotta get these names right. I don't have Ava. I was gonna say that, and I didn't want to screw it up. Make her mad again. So, Ava, I want you to focus on the mansion. Ask what happens in the mansion, and then if you get an answer, obviously try to find out when that happened. Or a date. Kind of keep that in mind. Where's my next spirit box? Children. I told you there was at least one child whose name was Charles. There are more. You can ask how many and what their names are, and that's it. The reason why I'm telling him that's it is because there's a tragedy among those kids. If he pokes the bear, all activity will stop, just so you guys know. Including, I mean, we haven't had anything significant yet come out of the EMF detectors other than the word leave. So again, take that for its worth. So children of how many, and then what their names are. Next spirit box, where are we at? We're going to actually both of you, because there's a lot of questions that are involved with this, so you guys can both ask them on different spirit boxes. Eliza's death. You can ask anything you want to. How old she was, where she's buried, what she died from, and what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So again, because I'm doing the assignment of questions, because you guys are asking a specific set, doesn't mean that the answer can't go to another spirit box. Just kind of keep that in mind. That's why we use so many at a time. If you think of your television shows, they use one device at a time. There's ways to put full sentences together with using 5 to 6 spirit boxes at a time. So with that said, we are going to spread apart. I do have to show Jeremiah a little bit more about that motion sensor, so I'm going to have you guys spread out. Just stay away from the vehicles, like I said earlier. We're lucky enough where there's only, I think, 2 vehicles in here tonight, which is really nice. So we can actually spread out and really investigate the space. We're going to get those lasers going. All of the spirit boxes definitely unmute, so Quentin and Emily, you definitely want to get some volume out of that. But spread out, let's see what we can capture. I'm going to work with Jeremiah. All right, so you've obviously seen some numbers between 2.5 up there. Let's go ahead and pull up your antenna. On the back, there's a little, like a little flap. You're going to look at it visually. There's a little white button back there. Little flap is closer to my eyes. Go ahead and hit that button. So, the light is going to go on to the door. Every time you move, you're going to get a color out. Give it a little drop.
Did Hallie ask what her maiden names were?
slow movements, stand still. Outside the box thinking. Kelly, you got anything else? You got anything else? You didn't come running up to me, so I didn't think so. You might want to give him the other earbud too.
No.
So.
I love it. I'm gonna hear it.
No, you can have it. Go ahead.
I don't know if you're Let me know if you heard. Dispose of them. I need a drink. You okay?
That one down. That's a good one, actually.
What's wrong? You want
I'm going to do one more round robin with everybody and kind of see what's going on, and then I'll pull us back to get you the answers.
You want a break?
And anything else?
Sure.
You said you're lying.
Emily, you got anything? Nothing. square.
It's tonight again. What does that mean tonight? Yep.
Freedom. All right, so the word freedom was heard. Oh, perfect. So Garrett, where are you at?
I'm right here.
All right. So I'm going to have you stand on this wall and point your laser at this wall. And then, so actually swap places because you're going to be shooting down this way. So go on that side of the laser and shoot your camera this way and start the recording on it. So basically what we're looking for on this laser, everybody, is basically anything that's going to interrupt it this way. So this way we have the whole width of it, which is much wider than what we normally get from pointing it at the ground. So again, just kind of film that way and we'll see what happens. Jared, you're already recording, which is good. So what else did we hear besides the word freedom along the way here?
Toby.
Toby?
Tony.
Tony.
I heard able, pride, roll, soccer, 20, battle, champion, trust.
I heard tonight twice.
I heard you talking about that back there.
And beans. And
What is it?
beans.
Well, you have it on the word list. I don't have to write all those down. Freedom. Bean actually makes sense in this location.
Oh,
It's the last name, believe it or not. Yeah, it's very interesting. Interesting indeed. Shelly, did you hear anything? I know we were all kind of chatting. All right, so I don't know who Tony is. I'm gonna look that one up for sure. Try to see what's going on. But yeah, all of those. And it's weird. Where did you get 20 at?
probably when I was like right around the corner.
From here?
Yeah.
Okay. So say if it was closer to like the Pinky Mansion site, 20 is the jersey number of Big John.
Oh.
So that was his first jersey number. His second was 52. So again, we get either one while we're still over by the Pinky Mansion site. So what is this space? When we came over that last crosswalk coming down, that's where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. So Charleston used to be called Charlestown, the walled city. This is one of the first streets we ever had. People used to live here, which is why I asked you all for names. So the name Bean is obviously relevant here. You have beans, so food, not food. It's actually that person's name. So I want to say they lived here in 1855, if I'm remembering correctly. But I'll give you the full list, obviously, when I'm giving you that list back. But the names I commonly hear down here are Benjamin and John. I get that every 6 to 7 weeks on a loop. Now, there were 4 different Johns that lived down here, and I have access to the full list of residents, so don't be super impressed because it's not very lengthy. It's just a matter of, like, I have it, the fact that we know who lived down here. Now, Benjamin and John, again, John likes to give us his last name, which is Johnson. So again, Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. I don't have anything specific about this 1801 or anything specific about Benjamin or John. It's just the fact that I'm getting the same names over and over and over again every 6 to 7 weeks. Every once in a while, during that 6 to 7 week loop, we'll get the name Jane. Jane also lived here in 1801. That's 3 out of 5 people that lived here in 1801 that I get their names constantly. Was I expecting you guys to hear the names Benjamin, John, or Jane? No, we're in week 4 or 5 of that loop right now. I'm not going to start to expect it starting next week. So again, here's why I think this is happening. The bricks you're standing on, these are Belgian blocks. They're said to be made of granite. Now, you guys all seem like you're into the paranormal of some way, shape, or form. You've heard the term limestone before. So with limestone, it is said to stir up activity because it comes straight from the earth. However, it doesn't hold an electromagnetic field. Neither does granite. So what we're going to do now is, Jeremiah, I want you to set your device directly onto a brick and see if you get any numbers out of it. Don't worry about the motion sensor. We're worried about the numbers on the red screen. So we're going to see if we get a reading out of it. We should not have anything out of there that's higher than 1.1 based off of the regular natural EMF of the earth. Do we have anything on there now? 1.8. Kind of really low. We're going to give it a minute to see if it builds up to anything. But again, granite is not supposed to have any type of EMF to it whatsoever. So again, I've seen it go all the way up to 15 on specific nights. And that's just been within the past couple of weeks because I've just started doing this little test to see what's going on. Go ahead and pick up your device for me so these people kind of pass through so it doesn't get kicked across the bricks. Oh, you're good, you're good. How are you? Good. You're good. She has a little bit of something?
It's always on the ground. Anywhere.
So we'll give it a few minutes. Go ahead and set your device next to his. I haven't done that yet. So let's just leave them there. And normally a steady rhythm or a pattern like those LED lights you guys are looking at, like normally I would discount those, like that's because it's coming from something man-made. But I want to see what the digital one's going to do regardless. So we're going to give it a few minutes. Before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley. We do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons, that would be like Mason, Brick, and we do get the term Illuminati more often than you would actually think. The funny thing about that is, who the heck is talking about the Illuminati on the radio, because that's normally where it comes from. And second, why am I only hearing it while we're in this space? So 6 times it came up last year, and then 3 times this year so far. We jumped over and it kind of gave you a higher number. Yeah. Again, the K2 meter, like the unsteady, it's almost like the bump right there, but that's a 15 milligauss reading right there. That's crazy. But the Freemasons, again, they had their lodge here. That's why this alley is named that. I don't have a ton of history on this location other than that archaeological dig report that gives me the residential names. There were fires here. They found some of their tools and silverware during that day. We do get sometimes specific silverware pieces like forked wood. So there would be like a fork with a wooden handle kind of mentality. So again, it's about putting all of these clues together. The next space we're going to go to, and again, we don't linger here because we're not going to get much. It's a residual haunting. You got to wait for it to actually happen. We just never know when it's going to happen. The next space is another alley. But what I will tell you about that alley is I can't take you all the way through it. Why? Because I've been kicked out. You guys have all the blinky lights and the noisemakers and all of that, and it is considered residential at the end. So I will tell you how I got booted out of there, but I always tell the story of what goes on down that alley outside of it, just to stir up the activity, because we will get that bleed over, and this is the story where we actually got a little bit of bleed over at the Pinckney Mansion site. So kind of keep that in mind. You're going to start to recognize some of the terms, because we're going to be talking about duels, the gun being the first relative term to that location. So as we exit this alley, both videos will be cut off because we're cutting through a neighborhood to get to the next space. But you can definitely turn your spirit boxes back on as we cut through there. They're not super loud, so they're going to disturb anybody. And then we're going to be, EMFs are going to be out of the game for a few minutes, as are lasers, just so you know. But I think that about covers everything. Did you get any other terms that showed up?
Does seeing your shoulder mean anything?
No. No. Those are weird terms that I don't normally see or hear, so I had to like stop and think. Does that relate to anything?
Farm and please also get
Farm and please. Farm. Interesting. Weird stuff. All right, let's get those devices picked up. Let's head up to the next alley.
turn off the camera.
Film, so just kind of very discreetly once you get your started, Janice, even drop it down a little bit. But you're perfect, Jared. You're on it. Another pro, perfect. So this alley behind me is called Philadelphia Alley. This is where the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. We all tell the same story of one of the duels, and you're going to see where some of the terms we've already had are going to be relevant. Obviously, I'm excited about the word gun that showed up, but you're going to see this is where Isaac actually shows up as well. So, and we're only a block and a half away from where we originally started, believe it or not. It's just catty corner from where we are now. Oh, because the Northerners, you have to probably understand what the hell I just said. Perfect. I said catty corner.
Kitty corner.
You said kitty corner? Mm-hmm. I'm from Ohio. We said catty corner. You say catty. So, yeah, very close. But you all got the gist. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. Didn't we have Joseph come up over there too? Didn't somebody hear the name Joseph?
Yeah,
Did you have the name Joseph back by?
Yeah, you did.
By the Pinckney Mansion site? So we had another clue to this story. That's so weird. All right, so let's kind of see how the rest of this bleeds over. See how that kind of triggered things with me? It's like, I don't know who Joseph is because I'm not at the spot. But Joseph Brown Ladd moves here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She's an attorney that's helping her out with all of this cash flow, and the attorney thinks that the doctor is just after Amanda's money. So he tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. The doctor moved to Charleston to prove that he's not after Amanda's money. The coachman that brought him into town, not the pedicab, set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. But somebody walking by the name of Ralph Isaacs says, I'm going to stop on Ralph for a second, just because obviously Isaac is what we heard earlier, but the initials of Ralph Isaacs are the same as where the doctor came from. You're ghost hunting. This is not just a normal campfire ghost story. Initials do mean something. So R.I. will show up here a lot, but we have the two main characters from Rhode Island and then Ralph. We need the secondary clue. However, Ralph says, dude, you don't want to stay here. He's got a gunman inside. I know him. He's going to try to kill you and take all your cash. I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can stay there and you'll be good to go. The doctor takes him up on the offer and the two become friends. The longer he stays in Charleston, the more money he starts to make, which means Amanda's moving down soon. He's proving his point that he wasn't just after the cash. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. Every haunted city you will ever visit in the future has a cliched whistling ghost. I can guarantee it. But we actually have proof of this one specifically. Let's move on. Him and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. So they have to talk about these plays on the way home. One night, I saw that yawn, man. I'm going to wake you up a little bit. I'm going to point them out every time. But anyway, with that said, they're talking about this one play on the way home. The doctor thought the new actress was fantastic. I don't know if her name was Nicole, so I can already see the question on your face. Like, oh, maybe it was Nicole. But I don't know. Ralph didn't think she was so great. They start arguing about it, and then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiance, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. They go their separate ways. Ralph is from here. He puts an ad in the newspaper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. The doctor sees this ad and rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this. So somebody's going to die over an argument about an actress. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, because that's often what happened during a duel. But Ralph has his one shot. Sorry, Jerry. He puts it in the kneecap, on the doctor. So the doctor doesn't die either. He drops to the ground, his friends pick him up, and carry him home to 59 Church Street.
Philadelphia alley.
Is that? You got Shooting and Jenny? Okay. I don't know who Jenny is either. But I'll take Shooting. Oh. The doctor dies 10 days later after he's carried home from his gunshot wound, and he refused medical treatment. You have to remember this guy's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed this out himself. So the ghost story part of this, something moving around his foot.
Yeah.
What am I missing? Oh, palmetto bugs. He's probably already dead. Yeah. Damn palmetto bugs are always interrupting me. That happens all the time. They say as you walk down this alley, you can actually hear the whistles from the doctor. Now, I used to take my tours down there, and it was all about the voice recorder. So I'm obviously going to say, when you're not with me, by all means, turn on your voice recorders, go down there. However, keep in mind, every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street from the other side throws a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night on my way home. We're going to end right there. My garage is right there. I have to pass the alley. And if my daughter's on the tour, we race to see who's going to throw the whistle first, just because I'm not allowed down there anymore. So they also say you can hear gunshots, which is part of the reason why I don't do 4th of July tours anymore, because everybody gets super excited about it. I'm like, yeah, that's not a gunshot. That's a firework. Sorry, not going to happen. But at the same token, here's how I got booted out of it, because I'm sure that's why everybody wants to hear the rest of this story. This alley did not go all the way through, which means the bricks on the other side, on Queen Street side, are older than the bricks on this edge. Those bricks are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint and fingerprint swipes in those bricks on the other side. I'm sure you guys have all caught on by now that I'm all about the history. I used to show them off just to show how far we've come, but it was got to be a quick movement. Everybody wants to try to get an EMF reading or a spirit box reading or something away from that brick with the handprint in it, and I treat it the same way I do a grave. That kid is not staring at that brick in the afterlife. He is the furthest thing away from that damn brick. However, November 26th of 2020, my group decides they want to stop and try to get an EMF reading and spirit box recordings and the whole nine from that brick. It's outside a gentleman's dining room window of his beautiful mansion. He was not happy with me and my group standing outside of his doorway, which technically I was in the wrong and I wasn't supposed to be there. So we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I did not have a tour that night because I worked in retail for over 20 years. I'm sure you guys can appreciate why I took Thanksgiving off, finally. So with that said, the next day was November 28th. I told my team, I got a phone call that morning asking me to go down halfway, like what we're allowed to go through, or to reroute the whole tour. It was not fair for my 10 to try to work on half a space, very skinny, around 20 to 60 other tours that are of people down there. So I reroute and I tell them, we're going to wing it and see what happens. I don't know much about this story, nor did I even believe in it at the time. Before we leave, somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box. I did not tell them we were going to be investigating the female pirate Anne Bonny. So I'm like, all right, maybe there might be a little bit of truth to this. We get there, I told a little bit that I did know about Anne Bonny, and then somebody else hears the number 300, loud and clear, verified. I don't know what that means either. So the next morning, I'm doing the research. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial.
Ooh.
So now I keep taking you guys back up there, and it is a hit or miss. I'm very candid and open with you guys when I take you guys to these locations. I never know what's going to happen. If we're going to get anything, it'll be a lot. If we don't get anything, it'll be absolutely nothing with no outstretched reach like what we were doing with the Pinckney Mansion site. However, what I will tell you is I'm not a pirate guy. I'm a vampire guy through and through. So when all of this started, I'm like, okay, now I got to keep taking people back. I've read tons and tons of books on pirates to try to put as much factual data into what I'm about to tell you once we get to the location. So kind of keep that in mind. If anything, you're going to learn a whole hell of a lot more about pirates than what you ever wanted to know in your entire lifetime. So let's go see if we can find Anne Bonny, but Ella looks like she's got to tell me something. What's going on with your word list? Anything? You just look like you're waiting for me to stop talking so you can tell me something. All right, perfect. Did anybody else hear anything or see anything? You had the word shooting. I had to write that one down. Perfect. All right, let's head up to the next spot.
I saw that bug coming.
I know.
But I didn't see it go to your feet.
I just ignored it because I was hoping not to.
No, you don't do that.
Beetlejuice.
I want to go back and get a drink. I need a drink.
Mine said the truth.
The truth?
I got the truth.
What?
Mine said the truth.
I love the sound of static coming right at me. It's wonderful. What'd you get?
To the truth. To the truth.
Yeah.
So we had 7 a.m. show up on a spirit box. That is relevant because the number 7 shows up at the Philadelphia alley all the time. Normally it comes in pairs. So 7-7 will show up, and it might be 7 individually on 2 different spirit boxes, and that is because the doctor's birthday is July 7th, 7-7. Happens all the time. Number 7 is actually relevant in a lot of different ways here, but normally it shows up in double, but she had the name Joe show up, like right after that. Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. So again, we're gonna take it. We have 7 and Joe together. This is our last stop, hence why the bag is off. I gotta release some of the sweat back there, guys. Even though the bag is empty, which thank you, it is still hot out here. So we're gonna be talking first off about that little tiny building over there with the crosses on it. Those are not crosses, those are earthquake bolts. basically what they are, they're turnbuckles. So if we have another earthquake like what we talked about earlier, you can turn them and it's supposed to straighten the building back up again.
Wow.
It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. Don't get too excited. The reason I bring them up is because that's the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston ever put in. You guys have been staring at them as you've been walking around town. You just didn't realize what they were. They're pretty much on almost every building. They just don't work. It's part of the Charleston charm. So yeah, this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713, that little tiny building up there in the front. It is a museum now, and it did serve in 7 different wars. There's that number again, and 1 rebellion. Inside, you'll find a lot of artillery and that kind of thing. As far as the Charlestown walls, I like to give you the layout of the land of where we're at before we really get started. The garage is where the original Charlestown wall stood. It went up Cumberland Street, just past that little tiny building, and started going south behind me, kind of putting the gunpowder magazine in the corners of the walls on purpose. So in the event that a pirate ship or Revolutionary warship attacks it from 3 blocks away from the water, it's going to have a hard time making it this far. If it does, it's going to have a hard time going through the 32-inch thick walls to protect the gunpowder. If it goes all the way through and blows it up, there's sand in the roof that's supposed to protect the building. If it goes up with an explosion, the sand is supposed to fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. That's another great idea, but that don't work either. We had another powder magazine closer to the battery. It got hit, sand went up, the building burned to the ground. It doesn't exist. This one's just never been attacked, so it's still in full intact. Now, we are here because this building was being built at the same time that our main character, Anne Bonny, was actually coming to Charlestown. This is what I call a familiar. It's kind of like using a toy to attract a child ghost. So again, this is the Ghost Hunting 101 course. You've seen a little bit of everything with me tonight. Our story begins right in the middle of its construction because this building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. I'll answer for you. But 1708 is when the story begins. Follow me, there's a lot of twists. A young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormack. She's with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Is everybody with me so far? If I don't slow down on this one, you guys get like all twisted up. The 3 of them are running away from his wife. Yeah, how angry was she, fellas? Just saying. You gotta leave your country. So they land in Georgetown, just north of here, between us and Myrtle Beach. Yes, I keep referencing Myrtle Beach because a lot of people know where that is. Dad buys a plantation. Mom died pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat. Now, back home in Ireland, Anne was kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants when she was only like 10 or 12 years old. So again, just kind of keep this young lady's mentality as I give you the rest of the story. Fast forward, building's done in 1713. Pirates are coming through town in 1715. Anne is stoked. She wants her freedom, and she's going to fall in love pretty quickly because she wants to be a pirate. First guy she falls in love with, yes, I'm going to keep tally. There's a handful of them. His name is James Bonny. You already see where this one's going, right? Dad doesn't approve because he's a pirate. So they run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormack becomes Anne Bonny, your most famous female pirate of the Golden Age. Now, when they get down there, this guy is not the Captain Jack Sparrow kind of pirate that she was hoping for. This guy is a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's a coward in her eyes. So he falls in love again a few years later. The guy she falls in love with is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. Now, this Jack that I just spoke of is the real person that they based the Jack Sparrow character off of. So kind of keep that in mind. Jack has his own ship and wants to be part of it. You can't put a girl on the crew. Why? Girls are bad luck. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy, you can be part of the crew, but you're going to be a girl in my quarters. Most of us are adults here. We can kind of put 2 and 2 together. Being a girl in his quarters, she's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant guy on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl. So he drops her off in Cuba, go have the baby, come back later, we'll figure it out. She has a baby but returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to this child. She's also dressed like a female. She doesn't care anymore about hiding her gender. This makes Jack pretty angry, and while she was away giving birth to his child, he captured another pirate crew down below deck. Anne's going to go flirting with that pirate crew because that's what Anne does. Guy number 3, in case you guys lost track. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females, dressed like males, on the same ship. Her name is Mary Reed. She went by the name Mark to become a pirate, just so you guys know. Her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers, we never know for certain, but her and Mary become friends, and then the British find out where they are. They send their entire fleet of ships to come and take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks because they don't know how to use the cannons yet. So they're obviously going to get taken. You can't have 2 ladies defending a whole ship against 5 others. So as they're being arrested, she looks at her boyfriend, Calico Jack, and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." Obviously the word dog being very prominent for your spirit boxes. The judge, his name is Nick as well, so if you hear my name here, it's pretty common. It's not about me, it's about him. He wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly on their own. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates. They're dead and gone. two ladies go in front, they reveal their gender. He doesn't care that they're females. He's still going to hang them because they're still pirates. We plead our bellies was the last thing they said, hoping to save themselves one last time, meaning they're both claiming to be pregnant. You can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail and delays the hanging until after the pregnancy. Dad is still here in the Charlestown area. He has all of his Irish money because he was an attorney back there. And he bails Anne out, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we're still going to count Mary, / Mark, she has 4 kids, and then she dies at the age of 84. Yes, after her pirate career, it's very empty. As far as Mary Read goes, she died a year later in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. That was 1721. Use your own imagination on how she died. The 2 things I left out on purpose, because this is an open forum, you guys know what you're doing with all of your devices by this point, especially spirit boxes. The names of Anne Bonny's parents I left out on purpose, but know them by heart, and I also know the name of Calico Jack's ship you can ask about. So again, the name of his ship and the name of Anne's parents. Now before we separate, I'm going to tell you why I gave you that heated warning at the very beginning of the tour. Some of you may have missed it because you were at the restroom, but here goes. Back in September, I brought my group back here. Obviously, you see a lot of tours. I always come back here so that way we can go explore. But the kid next to me goes white as a ghost, and I have to pick him up by his armpit before he hits his head on the ground. I take him over to the white wall. His boyfriend's on the other side of him. We get him a bottle of water. He's feeling better, and it wasn't humid like this. It's September. So I then tell the story of what I just told you. They don't know the story yet. I send everybody out to go play with their devices, and they pull me aside and say, Nick, we have to tell you, we are 2 transgender males, meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Anne and Mary in the story, on my tour. These are the uncanny things that I see all the time. Now, I didn't have to call paramedics that night, which was a good thing. But again, those are the types of things that I see all the time. Psychics and mediums, they normally don't make it past the Pinckney Mansion site. And we normally get like over hundreds on your readings of Jeremiah's device, just so you guys know. Like I've seen it go all the way up to 214 at that location, which is dangerous levels. So that's why I give that be careful kind of message when we're dealing with things like this. So what can we do in this location? Spirit boxes, obviously the lot is yours to play with. Those of you with cameras, all 3 of you, you can go to the front of the powder magazine, get some footage. That means shine your lasers in the front lawn. Just make sure they stay in the front lawn because those are apartments behind. Just make sure you don't interrupt other tours. Those of you with EMF readers, the closer you get to the corners and those bushes, you're going to get readings because of parking meters and obviously the electrical poles. So kind of keep that in mind as well. The rest of those spirit boxes, let's get them loud and proud like we did before, and let's see what we can capture. You're still recording, Jared, you're recording, so we're good to go. Let's spread out. I'm going to go chill over there by the wall. You guys do all the work. You guys are all trained by now.
After you said dog, I thought I heard God or dog.
God or dog.
Yeah, they sound like dog though.
So you get a lot of religious terms because of the churches right now. So that happens all the time. I don't give you guys that subliminal, like, hey, you're bringing water. Just start sending your Bible and priest and all that stuff. I wait for you guys to start telling me. So I'm going to write it down as God/dog question mark, so that way we can kind of see what else is going to pop up from that. I'm sure it's me. I just don't know if it belongs to this cemetery. So I have to get a roster there. How's that one working out for you?
That's the pirate girl.
Philip, 15, Dad.
How does that thing work?
So the basic gist of this, did you see the numbers like rotating around here in that corner? Like it's turning into a sweet pretty FM radio station. It's the same way you are.
Saw you filming it. Seeing anything with Huh?
Big boy harness here. I can run one of those like silently in my pocket.
And not have to worry about actively listening.
And even on the recordable one, that obviously the earbuds have been used with, like I just turn it on and throw it in my pocket and listen to it later. I have one running super fast with just white noise and then another one that's slow. And then I listen to them kind of together and kind of see what I get out of it. But I walk into these museums just like you guys do, and I just got a lot of gear running on it. I usually have like a little canvas bag on my hip, and I just have all my gear running inside. I don't carry that one around, but the thermal I'll have like in the winter time. I just tuck it in one of those pockets up here, so just the camera's hanging out, and I have all the full videos from my point of view of wherever I'm at. So, and then the ladies usually have to hold something or something at her. I need more pivot. Kind of food coming out of it. And sometimes there's nothing. Okay.
How did you get started with all this?
Always been. When I was little. As I got older, I was raised Orthodox. You don't talk about it. You have to go. Of course, I can do it. Instead of writing books. Yeah, so instead of writing books, then I went to school to write better books. Kind of evolved, because I was already writing about my book. It's kind of evolved into it. Telling Shelley before you guys arrived, like I had to do it. Just kind of got immersed into this, but right before the pandemic. So it's kind of like, all right, I'm gonna trudge through this and see what happens. So,
You could do it outside.
yeah. Well, there was masks involved. We weren't allowed to go print these, which is fine because we had to go in there. So, but what they're doing is kind of centered on street. With the equipment, nobody does the equipment. There's one store in Savannah that tries to attempt to do what we're doing, but they use much cheaper equipment and they don't do that. It's funny if they're trying to mimic what my website looks like, same color greens, the same phrases I use, like should suit the last
You want to tell him?
7 again? Or 7 to the Oh, the other thing about 7. One more piece about 7.
Huh?
John Calhoun is buried on the other side of that wall. He's our 7th vice president. In the month of March, we get things about Calhoun all the time. I don't normally bring it up unless we get some kind of clues. There's like 15 stories around here. That's why I kind of stick to certain ones in case you guys come up with it. But if she keeps hearing 7, there's got to be a reason for it. And it's probably, I said it earlier, the 31st. All right, Shelly, what do you got?
15 Philip, Dad.
You want to know why you heard Philip? You're at St. Philip's Church parking lot. St. Philip's people is the one everybody's going to take a picture of over there.
Okay.
And then you said Philip and what?
Dad.
Dad. Don't know that term would have been used by an Irish woman back in the 1700s, but who knows? I could be wrong. Could have been Dad.
That was Dad.
Yeah.
That's
No
what
D at the
they
end.
would say.
Could have been. there. I gotta read. Yeah, Philip actually shows up here quite often. If we get other things like mood, fire, like there's a couple of things that are relevant to that church that we're gonna see what happens. It's weird that you heard 15 though.
Yeah.
I don't know where that's coming from, other than like allegedly that's when she met James Bond. It was 1750. Yeah. Allegedly. Again, it's all pirate lore. You can only put so many pieces together. It has to come from more than one resource before I can actually make sense out of it. Walter? Or Grandpa, one of the other. All right. Anything coming up on your Jeremiah? Let's get something going with the color, Ben. Some colors. What do you guys rough night with this? Because like, ask her what her hair color is. And immediately. Oh, really? She's violet. She did have red hair. And I never ever saw a red. So we moved out of the space. We asked again. Same thing. We did a couple of. That was so clear.
You're looking so tired.
And then something after that. I don't know. It sounded like
I'm
he
ready
fell.
for some water.
But it doesn't make sense.
Alright,
so
guys,
clear
let's
it's
pull it through
scary.
the wall. I want to
So hard.
It said those. No, come. Bing.
At this location, I'm excited about all the sevens, obviously. The other relevant things to the sevens is that John Calhoun is buried on the other side of that wall. His sarcophagus is above ground. He was our 7th vice president. We normally get a lot of things around about Calhoun in March because he was born in March and died in March. So I don't normally talk about him unless something else pops up about it, but we keep getting these number 7s. We did get either dog or God. It was kind of a mixed thing that came out of the SB11 spirit box. Dogs was heard, and the word Philip, the name Philip. We're at St. Philip's Church, guys. That's what the big steeple is. So again, I'm not surprised. We normally get a lot of religious terms around here too, so that's why I wrote down dog/God ? To kind of see like what's going to come up around that. But again, no readings, no colors came up out of Jeremiah's device. That's usually the only thing I look for out of this location with that specific device is colors, because this isn't a high EMF ground like the Pinckney Mansion site. So again, I'm going to call this one kind of a miss tonight, to be quite honest. Like I'm one of those people, I'm not going to sit here and make things up. I like the Philip. I don't know who's telling us that. Ella, what's going on with your word list? Where are you at? Let me just take a quick peek and see if we missed anything. She did get the word judge and guard. So I'll tell you, a few months ago, I had this psychic on my tour, and he kept seeing a guard like near that bush over there.
Oh, wow.
Like that was kind of like, he was just like, there's somebody there, but he had the wrong colors. So he kept saying somebody in like a Navy uniform, like Navy color. That would have been the North. So we were obviously gray down here for Confederates. So I don't know why he kept seeing that color. Defend classic, saying video. So I'm gonna definitely take a look at the videos in the same time frame as what it says here. It's kind of always. And beans. Probably most excited about beans. I know it sounds weird, but beans.
I get excited about
it actually
beans.
says beans. The reason why is because I showed up in Lodge Alley and there was a James Bean that lived down there during that time frame. So again, I'm gonna definitely get you guys the list for that. This is a little bit less than what I normally see. Like again, I'm honest with you guys as far as like what the actual evidence looks like, just kind of flipping through the notes. We did hear a lot of things, so you guys got the gist of how these spirit boxes work, which was basically the whole point of why you guys wanted to come out to begin with, was to play with these damn spirit boxes. As far as the videos go, I'm going to upload both of them to YouTube. I'll splice them all together for you so you only have one video to watch of each style. So we'll kind of see what goes on in there. If I find anything, I'll give you the markers and any still shots, obviously. And I make everything downloadable. Now, today's July 5th. I separate everything by month, and everything stays on my website for my tours for an entire year. So the newest tour goes at the top. So within the next few days, try to get to your data so you can just download it all, and you don't have to keep visiting my website and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. My notes will be obviously copy-pasted, and all of the links within those notes will be carried with them if you put them into a Word document. That's the easiest way to do it. Now, I'm going to stop the audio right now so we can kind of get a gist of how much regular. So you have an hour and 43 minutes out of the regular audio, so that's going to give you definitely a good 6.5 hours with all of the data I'm going to give you, which means you probably have a 9 to 11 hour workday ahead of you, because I'm going to give you a lot of links to follow up with. So again, I'm only spot checking. There's a lot of work to be done when we go through an investigation like this in many different locations. So kind of keep that in mind when you guys get your data back. Jeremiah's like, I didn't come here for freaking homework. So he just has that look like, man, really? But yeah, there's a lot that goes into this. I'm normally done with your data by noon. In the event something popped up in a spirit box that I have to dive into, just give me till 1 o'clock. You guys are going to be doing Charleston-y things anyway. You guys are probably going to be driving back home. But again, just give me a little bit of time and I'll have it done for you so that way you guys have your little Charleston souvenir and a lot of extra work to do. Garrett's like, man, I'm going to be staring at them lasers all over the place. So I'm going to start collecting devices. You guys can ask me a million questions if you'd like.